Give a brief introduction. Today for the third session, we have with us Dr. A. Kannan from VIT Vellore. His area of interest are database management system, artificial intelligence and machine learning, natural language processing, software engineering, computer networks and information security. His experience 8 years in software development at Bhabha Atomic Research Center, Mumbai from 1981 to 1989. 27 years of experience in teaching uh, in BE BTech, ME MTech and MCA, Anna University Chennai, and from last 2 years, sir is there in VIT Vellore. Total number of PhD scholars have completed their PhD degree 43, and currently one student is pursuing PhD degree under him. He is having membership of sorry, he is member of many professional bodies. His publications, total number of publications indexed in Scopus is 295, Google Scholar citations 4019, and citation Scopus 2492. 2 books he has published. We are very grateful that, sir, you became part of the our FDP, sir.
Yes,
Thank you so much. I welcome you on behalf of Department of Information Technology, Thadumal Shahani Engineering College, sir.
Yes, madam. Thank you.
You can start with the session, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon to all of you. I am Dr. A. Kannan. I started my career as computer programmer in 1981 at Bhabha Atomic Research Center, Mumbai. And I stayed in Bandra, Anushakti Nagar of Mumbai. First in Bandra, after that in Anushakti Nagar. After that, I joined Anna University Chennai, College of Engineering Indi, as a lecturer, then promoted to assistant professor, HOD of IT department for 3 years, and so on. Then I retired from Anna University in 2018. Now I am working as a senior professor in the School of Computer Science and Engineering, VIT Vellore. I am going to talk about quantum computers for AI. Nowadays, wherever you see, people are talking about AI, machine learning, and applications. In future, they have estimated that all the offices will be using AI. All the activities in our day-to-day life will be AI. But the complex algorithms that AI is processing is taking more time. When mainframe computers were there, the computers were very big in size. For example, when I was in Bhabha Atomic Research Center, we had a computer called DESIM 6. It was a mainframe computer. It was occupying one full room. Suppose they want to shift the computer from one room to another room, they will give one day off to all the employees. We will be happy for one day that we are not doing any programming on that day. Otherwise, we used to go to Tata Institute of Fundamental Research in Colaba, TIFR Colaba. There we had some 2 mainframe computers. One is Decton, another is Cyber. In both the computers, the speed was somewhat faster, but the scientific applications which we were writing was running for at least 1 hour in mainframe computers at Colaba. But in BARC, it was running for 10 hours, 12 hours and so on. To reduce that only, people started going for mini computers. It was not solving the problem. Then client server computers were coming. After that, networks were coming. We started using parallel algorithms. Then only the problem was little bit solved. But even now, scientific applications, AI applications, etc., they need more computing power. They take more amount of time. We want to process very quickly. even in video processing, the size of data is very large. For storing the video and retrieving the video, it takes more time. The data structures used for storing and retrieving video are not matured enough. They are using tree structures like KD tree, MX code tree, R tree, and so on, but they are also not sufficient. They started doing distributed data processing. That is also not sufficient. But quantum computing is going to solve the problems, called complex problems, very easily. That is what they are claiming. They have made a package called TensorFlow package for quantum computing. It is called a TensorFlow Q. That package is ready. Paper is published for that, but the package is not released since the quantum computers are not into the market. Some of the quantum computers are made. For example, IBM quantum computer is available. Google, it is having a quantum computer. They are not yet used by the common people. As a result of that, the TensorFlow quantum computing is not released. However, the algorithms used in TensorFlow quantum computing with respect to AI and machine learning are all derived from basic AI and machine learning algorithms. So what I am going to do is, I will be giving 2 lectures, one today and one tomorrow. I will talk about the basic AI and ML techniques. Then tomorrow I will tell you how these algorithms are changed to some, at least 1 or 2 algorithms, one neural network algorithm, one clustering algorithm, that is one classification algorithm, one clustering algorithm. I will take it from TensorFlow Q and explain that, so that you will be able to understand, okay, AI problems can be solved very quickly using quantum computers. So I start with the definition on quantum computing. It is a kind of computing using the same physical rules that atoms follow in order to manipulate information. Nowadays, we are bothering about manipulating the information. That is why we went to database systems. We started with the file systems. When I was working in Baba Atomic Research Center as a programmer, every day we will be creating some files, and the program sizes also will be every day at least 500 to 1000 lines of code we will write. Total number of lines in a bigger program will be around 1 lakh lines, or 50,000 to 1 lakh lines of code we used to write. When it is running, runtime may be for 1 day and so on. Such a huge amount of running time, it is reduced by the arrival of fastest computers now. Now we are able to, such programs can be run within half an hour, 1 hour, and so on. But even this time delay can be reduced if quantum computers are coming. Nowadays, people moved from machine learning to deep learning. In the deep learning, the algorithms, they are having more number of layers. When we have more number of layers in the deep learning, we used to have complex processing. For doing the complex processing, the existing computers are taking more time. To solve this problem, to reduce the time complexity, to reduce the timing, not the time complexity, to reduce the processing time, we have to move to quantum computers. That is what all the AI researchers are expecting. And what it is told is, quantum computers will revolutionize artificial intelligence, machine learning, and big data. What and all we are expecting is, quantum computers will solve complex problems quickly. For example, deep learning program, and it will optimize the solutions. There are many graph search algorithms for optimization. For example, flow problem. In the flow problem, you have to have different size pipes, and bigger pipe to smaller pipe it will flow, smaller pipe to bigger pipe it will flow. You have to take the minimal size flow, so that maximum amount of the optimal amount of liquid can be transferred. It can be liquid, it can be gas, it can be anything, but transportation is necessary. Similarly, in the graph search algorithms, even genetic algorithm, you are searching for a particular node in a tree. Always tree or graph will be used in data structures. You are traversing. One such example is traveling salesman problem. In the traveling salesman problem, normally we are working out with 10 cities, 5 cities, 10 cities, 20 cities, and so on. But it is not so. Now the world is expanding like anything. we can visit more number of cities. When the number of cities is increasing, the graph size will be increasing. When the size of the graph is increasing, that means the solution will be very difficult. Such a problem can be solved very easily. Similarly, shortest path algorithms, including Prim's algorithm, Kruskal's algorithm, or Parcels algorithm, etc., can be solved very easily by quantum computers. Now, quantum computers could spot patterns in large data sets. We are working for mining for rules. Whenever we have a large amount of data set, we are interested in finding interesting patterns. When we do research, when I was doing research, the number of papers published in the literature were very less. Therefore, there was a scarcity of resources. If I want to search for a particular paper in database area, I used to travel from Chennai to Bangalore for going to IISc Bangalore. Sometimes I used to come to IIT Mumbai. Sometimes I used to go to INSDOC Chennai or Chennai Mathematical Institute. Like that, to so many places, I used to visit so many libraries to collect the data. Now, if any of my students are willing to get some data, some research paper, they are sitting on the net and they are bringing hundreds of thousands of papers within a week. We have to find which is the correct paper, relevant information. So finding the relevant information is more difficult than finding the information. Now, if you want to find the relevant information or anything you want to process, you want to find patterns, you have to go for rules. In artificial intelligence, the very important and the basic thing is rule. In database systems, we are dealing always with the data, but in artificial intelligence, we are always dealing with rule. Any decision making can be done with the artificial intelligence. For example, if some research scholar is working in network, they may come and ask me what solution you will give. I will say that in the network routing also, you can go for intelligent routing by applying rules. If somebody is coming and asking me to give an idea on security, for example, intrusion detection system, I will say that if you want to find the intruders, you do classification, intelligent classification. If somebody is working on image processing, they will come and ask me how to find the relevant image from a set of images, or for a given image, query image, how to get the more similar images from the database. For this also, we need to process the rules. In every application, rules are necessary. In database systems, it is called triggers, but the triggers are not used in database systems much. Very few triggers, that is 1 or 2, maximum 3 triggers per table, it will be allowing. Depending upon the database which we are using, the number of triggers are reduced. But in AI, you can write any number of rules. As a result of that, you have to do rule chaining. The rule chaining, there is a limitation now. If statement, if you take as a rule, if then, if A, then, if B, then, if C, like that, if you are going on doing nested if, up to 72 levels only in many tools they are using. But in quantum computer, if it is coming, the processing power will come. If the processing power is more, we will not restrict the rule chaining. We can go to the further depth. Now, when quantum computers are coming, we will be doing data integration very easily. We are collecting data from different sources in the net. Some are in structured format, some are in unstructured format. Even if it is in structured format, one data is in one unit, another data in another unit. For example, currency, if you take, some currencies are coming in dollar, some currencies are coming in rupees, some currencies are coming in kroner, some currencies in yen, like that. Even if within dollars, Canadian dollar is different, US dollar is different, Singapore dollar is different. You have to convert to common format and put in a common database, means you have to go for data integration. This data integration can be done very easily with the quantum computers. Parallelly it can do. Roughly speaking, artificial intelligence and machine learning are good ways to ask a computer to provide an answer to a problem based on some past experience. What it can do is, with the AI, you can ask for what is the reason for my failure. Suppose two teams are playing cricket, one team is winning, why it has won? If one team is losing, why that team is losing? It can provide an explanation. Similarly, if these players are taken for a team, what is the chances of winning? It can do a prediction. For prediction, it can apply some time series technique or a rule-based learning technique and so on. It can do prediction, it can do learning, it can do explanation, it can find the temporal dependencies between the overlapping before, after, at, and so on. These things can be answered very easily. Any type of queries, if you ask to the computer, if it is intelligent enough by training through AI and ML, it can answer you better. That is why people are interested in using artificial intelligence. Wherever you go, now new courses are coming. When I joined BARC, that time there was no BTech computer, there was no MTech computers. They were taking mathematics people or electronics people or electrical people for doing computer programming. Later on, BTech and MTech degrees were coming, BSc, MSc degrees were coming, like that MCA degree was coming. So many programs are started in computer science. Now, in the computer science, what is common is how to improve the intelligence. This improve the intelligence was not possible like that people thought, and artificial intelligence, which was a core subject in the beginning, was pushed to elective later on, and they thought that AI is dead. Once AI is dead means it is not going to be used further, like that people thought. However, only the fruit of AI, expert systems were becoming famous. It was used in medical diagnosis by many experts in doctors and so on. But later on, telemedicine came. That time AI was coming, and an expert doctor's advice was available for more than one surgery at the same time. In this way, AI is providing so many facilities to the human beings, but AI is the aim of artificial intelligence is to make the computers to do things like human beings. It must behave intelligently like human beings, but computers are not having common sense. If you ask what is a cat, it might be challenging to tell a computer what is a cat. For instance, you will not be able to explain what is a cat, but if you are getting the images of cat and train them after so much of training on the images of cat, depending upon the amount of training you are giving, if you give a new cat, the computer will be able to identify the new cat that was not seen by the computer. It can identify. That is the one application of AI. Like this, many applications are there, and quantum computers, when it comes, it will be used in every area of AI, like Bayesian networks. If you take, it is using Bayesian probability for doing the prediction. For doing the prediction, it is developing a network called Bayesian network. In the Bayesian network, the constraints will be propagated from one node of the network to another node, like that. When it is the constraint is propagating throughout the network, it is becoming complex and complex, so that the solution will be taking more and more time. Similarly, graph search algorithms, we are doing game playing. In game playing, when we do the search, we are cutting, for example, Minimax algorithm, there is an algorithm. In that, we are providing alpha cutoff and beta cutoff, like that cutoff we are doing to reduce the search space. Unless you reduce the search space, it is not possible to get the optimal solution within the prescribed amount of time. But without cutting itself, if you want to search, then you have to have some powerful computer that can be quantum computers. That is what people are expecting. And swarm intelligence algorithms also, it is also needing a lot of complex equations to be solved that can be done by quantum computers. Now, what I will do is, I will explain that basic principles of AI and ML. After that, some algorithms from AI and ML I will take, how it is implemented in quantum computers, that I will explain. If you take the classes of AI, theorem proving, perception, robotics, like that, so many branches are there. In theorem proving, if you take graph algorithms, there are two theorems, 4-color theorem and 5-color theorem. In the 4-color theorem, if you want to color the 4 vertices of a rectangle, how many minimum number of colors if you take, 2 will be sufficient. For example, opposite corners, if you give the same color, then 2 different colors will be sufficient in such a way that no 2 neighbors will be having the same color. But if you extend this coloring problem to color the world map, you have to color the world map with minimum number of colors in such a way that no 2 different countries or no 2 neighboring states, neighboring countries or neighboring states will get the same color. If you take Indian map, bordering the Madhya Pradesh, many other states are available. So the number of states bordering Madhya Pradesh are more. Therefore, you have to color with minimum 4 color means you have to think very cleverly, but with the 5 colors means very easy. That is why the 5-color theorem was proved by mathematicians very easily, but the 4-color theorem was not proved by mathematicians. They were putting a challenge and they wanted to give many amounts of dollar for the person who is solving this problem. After that, a researcher who is doing research in mathematics as well as artificial intelligence, he has provided a solution to the 4-color theorem also. Now it is run using computers itself. Previously, it was run in a supercomputer for 3 years, 4 years. The solution was not coming. With artificial intelligence, they were able to provide a solution. Similarly, perception, if you see somebody during childhood, even if the child is becoming a bigger man, you will be able to understand. But the computers, if it is trained properly also, with the current photograph, if you are training, it can understand you. But if you are training the computer with your childhood photograph and your current photograph, etc., in between what you were, how you were, that identification cannot be done by the computers. But perception is one area in which we have to identify the images, we have to recognize the voices. Human beings means my voice is known to you means even if you are closing your eyes, you can recognize my voice. But computers, recognizing the voice also, it is a challenge. Like this, many areas of AI are there. Robotics, they are employed in each and every activities of day-to-day life. Natural language processing, it is the hot area of research right now. Since in Anna University Chennai, 10 crore projects are going on. Many people are doing research in the area of NLP. Many students are doing project in the area of NLP. The reason for that is they wanted to translate Tamil language to English. Similarly, in IIT Mumbai, they want to translate Marathi to English and English to Marathi. In IIT Delhi, they are doing work on translation of English to Hindi and Hindi to English. Finally, the final aim is, suppose I am talking in Tamil to you, suppose you know Marathi only. Now, the system will, I will tell in Tamil, that will be translated to English, and you have another translator, English to Marathi. You will be getting the reply in Marathi. You will, whatever I am talking, you will get hear me talking in Marathi. After that, you will reply in Marathi. I will get it in Tamil. That type of translations can be done if you are going deep into natural language processing. One example of common sense reasoning is, in the common sense reasoning, they wanted to develop a intelligent program which can assist all the human beings.
Once you are done,
Whatever query you are giving,
any of the participants just pick me so that just we can go ahead with it. So as I said, the process is simple. You just need to visit here and you need to click on this create one if you don't have an account on Mathworks. Just click on that and you'll be asked a couple of questions like email address and all, and then you can just go select here and last name and you can press continue for creating this.
okay, I am continuing. In the common sense reasoning, they wanted to make the computers to have common sense like human beings. They developed a program called general problem solver. They were training with all valid knowledge and asked a query, what is the number of Shakespeare?
Of a short term.
When this question was asked, what is the phone number of Shakespeare? The computer was searching through the database and answered that no record is found. When the same query was given to a 5th standard child, she was answering that which Shakespeare? Is it the Shakespeare who wrote English dramas? If it is so, during the time of Shakespeare, there was no telephone. So searching the telephone number of Shakespeare is not a correct query. Your query is wrong. This is the answer given by a 5th standard child. A 5th standard child is knowing that there was no telephone during the time of Shakespeare. And what is the phone number of Shakespeare? If you ask the query to a 5th standard child, she is able to give you a correct answer with the common sense. But the computer, it is searching through the database and saying that no record is found. That is the limitation of the computers. It is not having common sense reasoning. Like this, if you take the classes of AI, many classes are there, expert systems are there, game playing is there. I will distinguish between the database systems and knowledge based systems. Database systems are storing more data, but knowledge based systems, they are storing more. I will tell you what is meant by knowledge. Knowledge is a collection of facts and rules. An example of a fact is, if I say that it is raining, if you say that is for which we can assign a truth value of true or false. One example, I am using a laptop, right now it is yes. I am using a mobile phone, it is false. Like this, the sentence for which you can assign a truth value of true or false is called a fact. A collection of facts is called a fact base, and collection of facts and rules is called a knowledge base. Knowledge means collection of facts and rules. Knowledge base is a place where you can store the facts and rules more efficiently and retrieve the facts and rules more efficiently. A knowledge base system provides facility to create a knowledge base and to manipulate the knowledge base, and the person who is developing a knowledge base system is called a knowledge engineer. The process of developing knowledge based systems is called knowledge engineering. If you are developing a medical expert system with your own medical knowledge, it is called a knowledge based system. On the other hand, if you consult a domain expert like a doctor, for example, dental problems you are addressing, you consult with a experienced dentist and develop a knowledge based system. Such a knowledge based system is called expert system, since you are consulting a domain expert. So domain expert is a person who is becoming an expert in particular domain of problem solving through years of training and experience. Even in teaching, when I am teaching for the first time, I will be reading the book. Whatever is available in the book, I can say. And if I am preparing for 1 hour, I cannot talk it for 2 hours. But now, if you ask me to teach software engineering, let us say, one example, let us say project management. In that also, the recruitment of people, I can go on talking about recruitment of people within 5 minutes also, within 10 minutes, within 1 hour, within 1 day, within 60 hours. Similarly, the entire software engineering book, if you want to ask me to finish in 1 day, I can finish. If you ask me to pull it for 1 year also, I can pull. That experience is coming because of teaching experience. The same way, doctors also, they will be becoming an expert in one domain of problem solving, not in all the domain of problem solving, only in one subject, one domain, they will become an expert. That is why they are called domain expert. We will see the difference between knowledge-based systems and database systems. In the knowledge-based systems, more rules. To understand the difference between database systems and knowledge-based system, I will take the example of train timings or train railway timetable book as an example of database application, and chess playing game as a knowledge-based application. I will compare. In train railway timetable book, if you open the book, throughout the book, train timings are there. That means more facts are available, more data is available rather than rules. Few rules are available in the book regarding cancellation rule, reservation rule, etc. breakup journey rules, etc. Very few pages are allocated for rules. That is less number of rules in a database application. But in a knowledge-based application, more number of rules will be available. If you take the example of chess playing game, there are 2 power 35 rules, and in what order you are applying the rules, that will decide whether you are a champion or a normal player in the chess game. That is why in knowledge-based systems, more rules and less facts. In database systems, the rules are called triggers. They are written for a table and stored in a separate place, not in the table. If you give a query like select star from employee, it is going to select only the data, not the trigger. But if the age of the employee is validated using a rule, that trigger will be triggered automatically. But a trigger is not explicitly stored along with the table. That is why we say that explicitly stored facts, that is data is stored explicitly, but the triggers like rules are stored elsewhere. It is called implicit rules. In knowledge-based systems, both rules and facts, they are stored together explicitly. Knowledge-based systems can be updated only by experts. For example, you want to change the medicine from one medicine to another medicine, you can approach only the doctor. Only the doctor will be able to update the previous medicine with the current medicine. Only experts will be updating a knowledge-based system. But in database system like railway ticket booking, even clerks can update. The clerks can cancel one ticket and give you a new ticket. Therefore, database applications can be updated even by clerk. In database systems, we have more amount of data, very large amount of data. It cannot be stored in the main memory. They are stored in the hard disk. That is why they are called disk-based systems. On the other hand, in the knowledge-based systems, very few facts are available. More number of rules are available, but they can be stored in the main memory itself. Therefore, knowledge-based systems are called main memory-based systems, but not disk-based systems. We will see the architecture of a expert system. Assume that you have 2 rectangles, one on the top, one on the bottom. If these 2 rectangles are connected by a single line, it is an expert system architecture. The top rectangle is the knowledge base in which facts and rules are available. The bottom rectangle, it is an inference engine in which there are 2 components, interpreter and scheduler. The interpreter will take which rule to apply first, will tell you, sorry, the scheduler will tell you which rule to take first, which rule to take second, and so on. The interpreter will match the if part of the rule with the fact and make a decision and execute the rule. Inference engine will answer with deductive inference. In a database system, if you give Pat is a man or woman, Pat is not a woman, these 2 sentences, and give the query select star from employee, where name equal to Pat, it will retrieve the 2 sentences, Pat is a man or woman and Pat is not a woman. The same query if you are giving to a knowledge based system, it will do inference P or not Q, P or Q, not Q, Q and Q, not Q will cancel, and P is remaining. That means Pat is a man, it will answer. This is called inference. So inference engine is used in a knowledge based system or expert system. Therefore, it can do inference. This inference is called a deductive inference or deduction. In knowledge based systems, class கூப்பிடாத பாப்பா பாப்பா கூப்பிடாத என்ன கிளாஸ் எடுத்துட்டு இருக்கிறேன் பாப்பா கூப்பிடாத பாப்பா reasoning, we have to do reasoning based on reasoning means inference. It can be based on time, it can be by comparison. For example, if you want to compare human beings with the computers, human beings are having common sense reasoning, but computers are not having common sense reasoning. Human beings, they can store knowledge, they can retrieve knowledge. Similarly, human beings, they can do the computations. Computers also, they can do the computations. Human beings they can compare. Computers they can compare. Temporal reasoning. In the temporal reasoning, if you do prediction and so on with respect to the past data and the current data with rules governing change, if you are able to explain about the past, predict about the future, etc., it is called temporal reasoning. And you can do the reasoning with either using forward chaining or backward chaining. In the forward chaining, you start with rules and facts and end with the goal. In the backward chaining, if you want to reach a goal, to reach the goal, what rules are necessary, you have to check, and that to get that rules, what rules are necessary, like that you will be going on and take the necessary rules, only that you will be applying. These are two inference methods. But in database systems, we are using indexing and hashing for fast retrieval. In AI systems, instead of indexing and hashing, we are using knowledge representation techniques for effective representation of knowledge and doing manipulation. Some of the knowledge representation techniques are tables, database tables. It can be in if-then rules or semantic networks. It can be like a tree structure. For example, small semantic networks, if I want to draw animal, domestic animal, wild animal. In the domestic animal, dog, cat. Like that, if you are going on classifying and in each node, I will be writing the properties. It is called a semantic network. Now in the semantic network, you can ask the queries like whether all dogs are animals, whether all domestic animals are animals. Like this queries we can ask with immediate inheritance, single level inheritance, or with multi-level inheritance. It will give the answers correctly. That is why semantic networks are used in natural language processing for providing inference. Like semantic network, frames also is providing a tree-based structure for storing the knowledge with the hierarchy. Then for natural language processing, natural language representation, we have conceptual dependency and scripts as well. These are all the knowledge representation technique. Instead of using indexing and hashing, why we are going for indexing and hashing in database systems is to retrieve the data fast and store the data fast, retrieve the data fast. We are going for indexing and hashing in database systems. The same thing, it is done in AI with knowledge representation techniques. In database systems, we are using B trees, means we will be doing the search using some tree search algorithm. In the AI also, we will be representing the knowledge using a semantic network, means that will be a graph, frames is a graph. Therefore, we have to use searching algorithms like depth first search, breadth first search. The combination of depth first and breadth first with the heuristic values gives best first algorithm, hill climbing algorithm, A star, AO star, minimax. These are all heuristic search algorithms. These heuristic search algorithms are going to search the entire graph. Even if you don't know the distances, it can apply a heuristic function, estimate and proceed up to the goal. It will provide a optimal route to a node in the graph. Advanced topic in AI are used for decision making, like which can have complete information and incomplete information. For handling incomplete information, that is with the probability, we can use Bayesian network, temporal constraint network, and we can do planning with the planning algorithms. For example, if you want to solve the knapsack problem, you can go for AI planning. You want to solve the Tower of Hanoi problem, you can go for AI planning. Like this, so many planning algorithms are available in AI. Machine learning algorithms are available in AI. For classification task, we are using machine learning algorithms. AI, natural language processing is the latest area in that is recently it is becoming more famous due to the vast amount of information stored in the net, but the people are not getting the relevant information. Whenever you store for, suppose you are giving a query to talk about database, if you or trying for a DBMS book. The famous authors in database systems, if you see, one is Navade and Elmasri. That is one good author book. Similarly, another good author book is Silbersatz and Korth. And another good author book is CJ Date and myself and Swaminathan. CJ Date, A. Kannan and Swaminathan. Like this, so many books you will be getting. But if you don't say that database management system textbook, if you see, give the keyword only database, it may be taking a database book, or it may be taking population database, or it may be taking genome database. Anything it can take, any type of database it will take. Similarly, when you give a query on a bank, it is, you may be referring to a financial bank, but it may be considering both financial bank as well as river bank. Similarly, when you give a query on table, you may be referring to a multiplication table. In the school, if it is means multiplication table. If it is in a DBMS class, it is database table. If you are talking about furnitures, it may be the table used for writing. But which table is to be considered, that must be trained through semantic analysis in natural language processing. Table, when you say, the computer cannot understand. So the semantic analysis itself is a very complex task. When people are counting the words with the semantics, relevant words with the semantics, even if you apply MapReduce techniques in a cloud data center, from a cloud database, you are taking so many words and counting and doing some decision making, it takes more amount of time. Therefore, natural language processing should be done by quantum computers. If it is done more parallelly, more fastly, 100 times faster than normal computers, quantum computers are 100 times faster than normal computers, it is estimated. The natural language processing, if it is done with good semantics, then you will be able to do it better way. I will say that difference between syntax and semantics. If I say syntax means grammar, semantics means meaning. If I say 2 and 2 makes 4, it is grammatically correct and meaning also correct. 2 and 2 makes 4. But if I say 2 and 2 makes 5, it is grammatically correct, but its meaning is wrong. So it is syntactically correct, but semantically wrong. Semantic analysis is only more challenging in artificial intelligence rather than syntax analysis. Now, I will tell what will be the advantages of quantum computing when with respect to AI. Experts are nearing a quantum advantage, and quantum computer is going to be powered. After that, we will be getting unimaginable computational power. This unimaginable computer power will be unlocking the true potential of machine learning. That is, in the machine learning, if you go for a neural network, they will say that only this much hidden layers. Don't go for too many hidden layers. If you want to go for more number of hidden layers, at least go for deep learning. Even with deep learning also, there is a limitation. But if you want to get rid of all the limitations, then you have to go for very fast computers that can be with quantum computers. Developing quantum machine learning algorithms would allow us to solve complex problems more quickly. When serial algorithms were there, corresponding parallel algorithms were developed. For example, sorting. If you are taking the merge sort, in the merge sort algorithm, you are dividing the array into 2. After that, that also each into 2. Like that, you are dividing. Suppose you are having 10 processors, you want to sort them parallel, sort an array parallelly. You divide the array into 10 equal components. Each array you process with one separate processor. One processor you allot for collecting all the results and merging, or 2 at a time you merge, so that the 10 algorithms, 10 arrays will be becoming 5 arrays. After that, that 5 arrays will be becoming 3 arrays. The 3 arrays will become 2 arrays, and the 2 arrays will become 1 array. Like that, it will be merged. That parallel sorting algorithms are made, parallel searching algorithms are made. Like that, for everything there is a parallel algorithm. In the same way, for every machine learning algorithm, for every AI problem, even search algorithms, let us say genetic algorithm with parallel search algorithms must be developed. When quantum computing is coming, the quantum version of all the existing algorithms will be coming. When they moved from wired network to wireless network, the same network, the same layers were kept. For example, application layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer, physical layer. The same layers are available in the wired network as well as wireless network. But the protocols, for example, routing protocol, the routing protocols used for the wired network cannot be used as it is for wireless network. For example, distance vector routing. The distance vector routing was extended to suit the wireless environment to give the AODV, ad hoc on demand distance vector. But the distance vector is available in the wired network itself. They are providing an extension. In this way, whatever algorithm is available in the AI and machine learning, the same algorithms are extended to have a quantum computing flavor so that it can be processed very fast. It can be like a parallel algorithm, but unless you know the existing algorithms, you cannot go for a parallel version of that. Even if you want to learn deep learning, if you know that, for example, you want to know about convolution neural network, you must know about neural network. If you know the neural network, it will be easy for you to pick up convolution neural network. On the other hand, if you are studying directly the convolution neural network, you will find it difficult to understand. That is why, if you want to learn about the AI algorithms or machine learning algorithms which will be used in quantum computing, you must learn the corresponding algorithms in normal mainframe computer or normal our personal computers, etc. To realize the full, that is the digital computers, to realize the full potential of quantum computing for AI, we need to increase the number of qubits that make up these systems. So qubits will be coming in more than one state also. But if you increase the number of qubits, the computing power also will be increased. For AI problems, how much complex problem, that much qubits if you are increasing, the quantum advantage you will be able to take with respect to problem solving in AI. Now the quantum devices, when you take the quantum devices, they follow the change properties of quantum physics and quantum mechanics to speed up calculation. Now, classical computers are storing the data in bits. Therefore, when you design an architecture for database systems, let us say, let me take relational database. Before that, they went for a three-level architecture: external level, conceptual level, internal level. In the internal level, bits and bytes will be considered. But in the conceptual level, the overall logical structure of the database, for example, employee means employee number, employee name, address, all the full schema will be taken. But in the external level, a subschema, that is what is necessary for the user from the entire schema, only that columns will be taken. That way, the architecture for database systems were proposed by anti-SPARC committee and TBTG group, database task group in ACM. They formed a special interest group. There is a special interest group for database systems. They call it as special interest group on management of data. Management of data is MOD, SIGMOD. Similarly, network, SIGNet is available, special interest group on network. AI, SIG AI, special interest group on AI. Similarly, graphics means SIGGRAPH. Special interest groups are available in ACM for developing more efficient structures for storing the data in a better way. They are talking about bits and bytes right now. Similarly, how to represent zeros and ones only they are thinking. But in future, they will be thinking about quantum computers and they will be talking about qubits so that it can extend it can exist in two different states also simultaneously, and that will give more computational power there rather than bits and bytes which we are using. With respect to quantum computing, what are the limitations? The size. We started with very big computers. I told that in BRG when I was working. If I want to shift the computer from one place to another place, even I want to take 1 MB of data, 1 kilo weight is there, one magnetic tape I will take. I will will take from Mumbai to Kalpakkam. To install that program written in Mumbai at Kalpakkam, we need to take 20 magnetic tape I have to take. Each magnetic tape was 1 kilo. One full suitcase of data I should take, magnetic tapes I have to take. And if somebody is asking, I will say, I'm carrying 1 megabyte of data. So people used to wonder, oh, you are carrying megabyte of data. We are working on only kilobytes of data. People were working only on kilobytes of data. When we were moving to megabytes of data, it was a wonder. But now, even gigabytes are very small unit. Even terabytes are very small unit. People are going for petabyte, exabyte, nanobyte, and so on. So that the size is that is with the small size devices, more amount of data we are able to store. But in quantum computing, the size of the computer is very big. It is not able to fit into the embedded devices which are available now. And the weight is also more, size is more, and it is consuming more power. People are working on, even in sensor network, people are working on energy optimization. In any research work, on any device when you are working on energy optimization. But power consumption is more with right now the quantum computers which are made are consuming more power. You have to develop AI algorithms only, even to reduce the power, and the cooling technologies available today are not sufficient even to handle the heat produced by the cloud data center. That is why in India, cloud data centers were coming very lately, but it was available in the US and China. Later on, we were also storing the data, including our confidential data, in the cloud data centers of China and US only initially. Now we are able to store our cloud data in our data centers itself. But one cloud data center will be having many thousands of computers, and many thousands of databases together will be used together to have a cloud database. Such a data center will produce more and more heat. Therefore, cooling technologies are very important for handling such data centers. Now, quantum computing bit is coming. The existing cooling techniques are not sufficient. We have to go for new type of cooling techniques. So we need the support of mechanical engineers, chemical engineers, and other people. That is why always the research will be interdisciplinary research. When robotics were coming, we thought that it is a problem of only computer science engineers, but it is not so. Some computer science component must be there. That is, we can write planning algorithms. Similarly, some electronics items are there, some mechanical items are there. So robotic research needs the support of mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, electronics engineers, computer science engineers, and so on. In the same way, even for quantum computing, we need to depend on all the branches of engineering so that it can be a very good device that can be fit into the embedded devices. Next, the new generations of computing will yield advantages in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and computer security. Now, any research scholar, if you are asking in which area you are working, many people are saying that I am working on AI/ML. Some people are working on networks and security, and some people are working on image processing. They will be also using AI and machine learning. Some people are working on programming languages. Some people are working on software engineering, but they are very rare. Even hardware research also, very few people in computer science. Only electronics people may be going like that. But more and more people are coming to artificial intelligence and machine learning. Even this is made as an elective to not only computer science and IT. Electronics people are liking it. When I was teaching artificial intelligence, machine learning, knowledge-based systems, knowledge engineering, or any data analytics, any such type of courses in Anna University, Chennai. So many research scholars from civil department, chemical engineering department, production engineering department, aeronautical department, mechanical engineering department, Like that, so many research scholars, even from remote sensing, many people are coming and joining. The reason is AI has more and more applications. Such an AI must be supported with good computing power. That can be done only by quantum computing. We will see the data growth. With respect to data growth, every day we are going to the internet, we are doing tweeting, we are putting photos in the Facebook, we are uploading videos in the Facebook, we are commenting on the Facebook. Where all this data will go? Internet is producing 2.5 exabytes of data every day. Now it is equivalent to 2,50,000 libraries of Congress, or the content of 5 million laptops. Every day this much data is generated by people. Every minute of the every day, 3.2 billion global internet users are continuing to feed the data banks. With data banks means world wide web is filled with data that is stored in cloud databases. It will be from Pinterest with 9,722 pins. Similarly, Twitter, it is having 3,47,222 tweets per day and 4.2 million Facebook likes and so on. Previously, when kilobytes of data was there, people were not allowing us to store even audio data, image data, and video data. We were storing everything in terms of text only. Even a photograph we were not allowed to store. We are putting so much of videos into the Facebook. We are putting so much of photos into the Facebook. Whatever you like, you can store. That is why the size of data is going on growing. If you see the growth of computing, started with the mainframe computer, then it went to mini computers. I am giving examples for mainframe computers like IBM computer, Decton computer, Cyber computer, mini computers. I also worked in mini computers like PDP-11, Prime computers, ND560, and later on we moved to desktop. Now we have computer network. As a result of that network of PCs we have client server computing, distributed computing, cloud computing. Like this virtualization, like that we have so many concepts, so many subjects we are getting newly. But we will see how the data were stored from the history. We started with file system. We moved to hierarchical and network databases. In the hierarchical database, data were stored in the form of tree structure. If you want to store the university database, you start with the university, college, department. University is the root node. Its children are college 1, college 2, college 3, etc. For college 1, department 2, department 3, these are all the children. For department, course 1, course 2, course 3, etc. These are the children. Like this, you have to store the data in a hierarchical tree format. In the network model, it is stored in the form of a graph. For example, you want to model the city data or the state network, road network in a state. You have to draw graphs so that which two cities are connected, which is the shortest path from city A to city B. All that things can be modeled. So network databases were providing fast retrieval than hierarchical database. But if one city, one node of a graph is deleted, all the incoming nodes, incoming arc, outgoing arc, everything should be updated using pointers. That pointer updation is very difficult. In the query language also, reconnect, disconnect, like that query language were there. That connection you have to do manually. That is very difficult to handle. That is why people went to relational database. Relational database is having a mathematical background rather than the hierarchical network database. In that they were not based on mathematics, but in relational database, the query language SQL is based on relational algebra and relational calculus, so that the query processing time can be estimated in advance, and query can be optimized. Query optimization techniques are matured, and hence the queries are processed very fast. We are using indexing and hashing or parallel query processing algorithms. We can write a scheme to run the query in a parallel way. All that things are possible with relational databases. We have a matured architecture. We have design techniques like normalization and ER modeling. For transaction processing, we have concurrency control techniques and recovery techniques. We have in the concurrency control, we have two-phase locking protocol, lock-based recovery, locking based concurrency control techniques are available. Graph-based protocols are available. Timestamp-based protocols are available. In the transaction processing recovery, we have log-based recovery, we have shadow paging. Like this, so much of advances are taking place in relational database, but they were not able to handle all type of data which were liked by the people. That is why people moved from centralized database to distributed database. After that, for geographical information systems like remote sensing data, people were moving to spatial databases in which you can ask a query like which state is lying to the south of Maharashtra, like that, south of, north of, east of, west of, left of, right of, like that queries you can ask in spatial databases. Then people went to temporal databases. In the temporal databases, you can ask for a query on the salary history of employees for a particular period of time. For example, you can ask the salary in normal databases. When you do the updation, the old data will be replaced with the current data. In a relational database, if you use the SQL update statement, the old data will be replaced with the current data. In temporal databases, the old data will be copied into a table called a history table, and the current data will be available in the current table. If you ask the salary history of an employee for the last 10 years or 25 years also, it will have what is the current salary, what is the last year's salary, what was the last year's salary, everything can be retrieved with history. That is the advantage of temporal databases. So temporal databases are able to store the past data, present data, and it can do the represent the future data also. For example, in a credit card, what is the expiry date? That is a future data that is also stored in a temporal database. People moved from normal relational database to temporal databases, object-oriented database, multimedia database, in which we can ask audio queries, video queries, image queries, text queries, etc. In active databases, more number of triggers were there. That people moved to that, and then they moved to predictive database. In this, inference was possible. From database systems, people moved to data warehouse and mining. In the data warehouse, we can store more amount of data. Since only storage and retrieval, it is not for updation. Database systems were made for daily transactions, but the data warehousing is for long-term storage. That is, it is storing the aggregated data. Long-term queries we can ask. It is for the managers. We can apply data mining algorithms on data warehouses rather than the data mining algorithms. If you apply on database systems, it cannot infer much than applying on data warehousing. People are going for work on web databases, cloud databases. In the cloud databases, instead of ACID properties, people are going for base properties. In the cloud normal relational databases, we have to maintain atomicity, consistency, isolation, and duration. That is ACID properties. But this ACID properties should be relaxed in NoSQL databases. Even in the distributed databases itself, suppose you want to do fund transfer from one place to another place, temporarily up to the time that data is transferred from bank A to bank B, temporarily inconsistency is allowed. Like that, consistency ACID properties should be relaxed. That is why people went for base properties in cloud databases. Now, with all these relational database, advanced database technology, the processing, transaction processing, query processing, both are not fast. That's why we have to have quantum computing. In the quantum computing, the data processing power is more than the traditional computers. Therefore, if you give a query which is going to traverse a B tree with 100 levels of depth also, it can do. Right now, we are restricting the number of levels in a B tree, so that if you put in more breadth, normally we ask them to do in sorting order. If you are putting in binary search tree like sorted order graph, sorted order tree, it will be very fast to retrieve. That is why in the indexing itself, we are doing sorting and putting, otherwise very difficult to retrieve. But in the web data, you are putting data in the web through tweets, through Facebook comments. It is not possible to do indexing very easily for this. Therefore, the traditional computers will not be able to handle very easily the growth of the data which is experienced right now with in the web. Moore's law predicted that the number of transistors which are present on integrated circuits will double every 2 years. It was happening really. It improved remarkably, and it is available since the term was coined in 1965. Now the integrated circuits are having more and more transistors. Since the size is becoming small, we can put many transistors into a single chip. Those transistors are now as small as we can make them with the existing technology. We can fit them into the embedded devices very easily. Now, there is a race from biggest leaders in the industry to be the first to launch a viable quantum computer. Any product is coming, there will be a competitor. For example, in the Oracle, in the DBMS, previously Oracle and Ingress Corporation were competing, but Oracle was providing better solutions. Therefore, Ingress Corporation was not able to compete. Sybase was competing with Oracle for some days. After that, they gave it to Microsoft, and the Microsoft is using SQL Server. Now, for database solution, either you can go for Oracle or SQL Server. Like that, anything, there will be two competitors. In the networking also, there will be two standards, one from US standard and one from British standards, and different vendors will be following two different methods. And any product, there will be two companies which are competing with each other. Even for quantum computing, many vendors are competing, mainly IBM and Google, they are competing. Exponentially more powerful than today's computer, and it will be able to process the big data. So with the AI and ML, we have to process the big data. Big data means the data which is generated by a machine. If human beings are generating the data, they are typing the data, it can be handled by the computer very easily. But sensors are continuously sensing. Suppose in the road traffic, all the vehicles are sensed and the data are captured by a camera. Continuously you are getting videos. All such things, many videos are uploaded into the web continuously, and many sensors are taking readings on forests and houses. Everywhere you are putting sensors on bodies, human beings' bodies. You can put body sensors, and all such the data are collected and put into the web. Then processing is very difficult. The data which is going beyond the limitations of the common computers for handling, for capturing and storing, is called big data. Now, today Google has a quantum computer. According to Google, they say that the quantum computers which they have 100 million times faster than any of the today's computers. It is not 100 times, 100 million times. You see the speed. If such a speed is coming, the program which is running for example, stress analysis program in mechanical engineering, the mechanical engineering students, when they are coming to the lab for running a program, they are submitting in batch even now. Since it is taking hours together, assume that it is a program is running for 10 hours. If you are giving to this computer, it will be finishing in a fraction of a second. That is what quantum computers can do. That will be critical if you are going to be able to process more amount of data. That is, we generate more and more data in scientific applications, like providing a solution of nth order differential equations, iterative search algorithms. It will be, right now we are in the iterative algorithm. There will be two methods by which we are terminating the search. One thing is, if the values between the previous iteration and the current iteration are becoming same, we understand that it is saturated. You can go for one or two, three times more also. If it is not changing, that means it has converged. Therefore, a solution is reached. You can quit the algorithm. That is one terminating condition. But all algorithms will not converge for the same type of data, or the data, all data will not be converging for the same algorithm. That is why we have to give the maximum number of iterations. The number of iterations are limited by the programmer itself. Why they are limiting is, if they don't limit the number of iterations, it will be going on searching for longer and longer time. If it is parallel algorithm, it can be reduced. But if it is recursive, like that, if you are going on inner, then the complexity will be increasing. That cannot be handled by normal decimal computers. You have to go for only quantum computers. Now, the key success to translate our real world problems into quantum language is necessary. For example, you have a k-means clustering algorithm. The same k-means clustering algorithm, it will not run as it is in the quantum machine. You have to translate them little. I will tell you tomorrow the steps of the quantum k-means algorithm. It will be looking like a k-means clustering algorithm. It will be also using distance measure, but how the clusters are formed, that part will be changing. So the algorithms must be translated. In the network also, when we moved from wired network to wireless network, for example TCP, we have wired TCP separate and wireless TCP separate. We have snooping TCP, like that. We have a TCP IP protocol in which wireless version of the TCP is available. In this way, we have to do some translation of the existing problems into the quantum language. Once you are successful in making new algorithms out of the existing algorithms by doing some modifications, that means you are ready to run on the quantum computers. Once the quantum computers are coming to the market, immediately you can make use of them and you can solve your problems very fast. The complexity and size of our data sets are growing faster than our computing resources. You take any benchmark data set in security applications, if you take any security algorithm, even intrusion detection, if you take KDD Cup data set, if you take even the 99 version of the KDD Cup 99 data set, it has lakhs of data sets. We are using only one component of that for training, and suppose you are taking only 1 lakh records or 10 lakh records for doing your work. You will not use all the 10 lakh records for training. You may be using some of the records for training and some of them you will be using for testing. If you go for 10-fold cross validation, you will be dividing into 10 equal parts. For example, 100 records you are taking, you will be dividing the 100 records into 10 equal parts, 9 parts for training, 10th part for the first 9 part for training, 10th part for testing. Next, you will be using the first record for training, testing, 2 to 10 for training, like that you will be rotating in such a way that all the 10 folds are used in testing and training alternatively. The data sets for security algorithms are very large. They are people are not able to handle the volume very easily, volume, variety, and so on. Therefore, we have to have better computing power. Today, while today's computers struggle to unable to solve problems, these problems can be solved in seconds through the power of quantum computing. Since even if you take a security proof means you write an algorithm without knowing the key in a security algorithm. If you are trying to guess the key, even elliptic key cryptography, suppose you are taking Caesar cipher, only 26 combinations, you can very easily find it with the digital computers. With the key equal to 3, very easily you can find. Even if you change the key also with brute force attack itself, you can guess the key. Assume that you are having a number suitcase. In the number suitcase, you forgot the number. With the brute force attack, with the trial and error method, you can start with the 001, 000, 001, 002. Like that, if you are going on testing all the numbers up to 999, you will be able to open the suitcase. That is given to the computer means it will be solving very easily. That is why the security algorithms in symmetric cryptography, they were broken very easily. People went for asymmetric cryptography. In that also, all the algorithms, almost all the algorithms are broken. That is why people are going on extending the size of the key. For RSA algorithm, they started with the 64-bit key algorithm, then 128-bit algorithm, then 256, 512, 1024, 4096-bit RSA algorithm. That is also broken. But without the key, if you are willing to break it, so much of computing power is necessary. That is why in security problems also we need quantum computing. The another way in which the quantum computing will facilitate a revolution will be optimize the problem. For example, you want to determine the nearest hotel or cheap and best hotel or best medicine protocol for every individual, or you want to route the ambulance to a shortest route hospital or nearest hospital, cheap and best hospital. First you have to find the cheap and best hospital. You want to find the nearest route, that also congestion-free route. For all these things, you can go for AI-based solutions. Using quantum computing, it will be able to solve very fastly with the optimization. We need to change our computer architecture itself. The computer architecture, right now we have input, process, output. For input, we have input devices. For processing, we have CPU and memory. We have so CPU and memory. After that, output devices. This is the simplest architecture we have. But the same basic principles will come. But after that, the processor architecture and memory architecture, everything will change. Quantum computers will optimize the solution, since in the sequential decision problems like game playing, let us say, in the game playing, if you are playing in a similar style, for example, a batsman is batting in a similar style daily, the bowler will land him. But if he is going on changing his style, it is very difficult to land. Such a problem can be solved using sequential problem solving methods. Quantum computers will be better equipped to solve sequential problems. And they say that in future, every business will be running with quantum computers. For example, if you want to purchase something, you are seeing the reviews, you are seeing the recommendation systems developed by some people. That recommendation systems are providing reviews on products. Suppose you want to select a college, you want to select the address, you want to select some book, you want to purchase a book. For everything, we can see the reviews and recommendations. But that reviews and recommendations, searching itself is taking more time if the keywords are not put properly. But if quantum computers are coming, it can be provided with more that can be searched very fast.
अभी already 5 minutes late हुआ है, आप तैयारी करोगे आराम से.
So what is expected is, with the quantum computing, we are going to search very large search space, and we will be handling both sorted and uncharted data set. We will be handling even unknown patterns, known patterns, anomalies, extremely, even known people, unknown people, anything we can identify. Therefore, we will not be going for exact matching, we will be going for similarity matching. If we go for similarity matching, the computation time will be more. It can be done with the quantum computers. Suppose you want to find a photo which is exactly matching your photograph, it is easy. But looking like your photograph, that is your photograph today you have taken, yesterday you have taken a different photograph, last year you have taken a different photograph, Last to last year, you have taken a different photograph. All are similar in nature, but similarity matching is very difficult than exact matching. Similarly, tree to tree, one tree is similar to another tree. If you give a query to retrieve a tree from a data set of data, image data available, it may be taking some of my students did a project in an university. He has retrieved all the tree, but he has retrieved one human being having longer hair. It was looking like a tree, but it is not tree. He was having a longer hair. It was looking like a coconut tree. That is why similarity retrieval method algorithm which gets developed was retrieving even that as a false positive. That should be reduced. Now, even the parallel computers which are available right now are not able to solve the search algorithms available in artificial intelligence. Similarly, the training algorithms which are available in machine learning, since they have incredible amount of data, that is why it is taking incredible amount of time depending upon the data set. So it must be handled only through better computers like quantum computers. Now, quantum computers are coming means you can test your PhD work or research work with more than one type of different data set. Now people are restricting the work with one type of data set only, since the computing power is less. Similarly, we have human invention in everything. Automatic driving, let us say, automatic cars, if it is coming, you have to process the problem very seriously, since when drivers are replaced with robotic drivers or automatic cars in the road, it not make accident. It has to go fast also, but without accident it has to go. With the minimum human intervention, if you want to do, the processing power also should be very fast. Otherwise, if it is making a decision after 5 minutes, but within that 5 minutes an accident is taking place, then after happening the accident, if decision is coming, there is no use. That is why you have to go for very fast. Then when you collect different data, you have to find the relation, do the analysis between the relations between different schemas, so that two tables can be compared. Now we are joining two tables by using a common key, but that schema analysis can be done automatically. Suppose in one place name is given, in another place it is given yes name or full name, first name, second name, all are name or not. That analysis can be done using a good programming AI program that can be done very fast with the quantum computers. Like this, we have to transform all the algorithms which are available for artificial intelligence and machine learning. That is a biggest challenge. The very big challenge is semantics in natural language processing. So semantic analysis is more difficult than syntax analysis in natural language processing. That is why we have to go for better techniques for natural language processing. With this, I finish my talk for today. You can interact. After that, I will finish the session. Now it is open to the audiences for question. Professors, any query?
Participants, if you have any query, please ask. Sir is waiting. No queries, I think. Nobody
Okay, madam. If there are no queries, thank you. I will be taking one more session. That time also you can ask the queries. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I thank
you
the
so much, sir.
organizers,
Thank you so much.
organizers and the participants both. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for giving such a nice talk on quantum artificial intelligence. We will meet with sir, all the participants, we will meet with sir tomorrow again in a morning session on topic machine learning using quantum computing. Okay, at
Thank you, sir.
10:30. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah, yes.
Yes,
Tomorrow we will meet, sir. Yeah. I'm ending the meet. All of you join tomorrow in the morning at 10:30. Tomorrow we are having the test at 2:30. All of you will get Google link in your register email ID, the test link. Okay, so exactly sharp at 2:30 we are starting with the test. And the second session will be on Zoom, and we will send the meeting link in short time on your register email ID. Second session 12:15 to 1:45, that session will be on the Zoom, and morning session 10:30, the meeting link will be same from last 4 days. Whatever the link we are using, the same link we will do in the morning 10:30, and 12:15 we are sending the Zoom link on the register email ID. And at 2:30 you have to
test.
Yes ma'am.
What is the duration of the test? कितना रहेगा सनोबर?
30 minutes ma'am.
30 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, 2:30 to 3 o'clock link will be closed. You have to join the meet, and same time pe you have to start with the test. Okay ma'am. Thank you everyone. Thank you. I'm ending the meet.